which would have been nice, from my sister and a friend Brady, who spent 5 years she's a Tibetan Buddhist meditator. A few years ago, 5 years in solitary retreat in a box. She is probably the biggest mind I know, was here. I asked her a week ago to come, and she came. So it was my sister, me, and Brady. And we just sat with him all week as he breathed. And he went from 4 breaths a minute to he died at 40 breaths a minute, with sighs and hiccups and the sigh of tremendous relief, and then the sigh of like a crying puppy that you couldn't find or couldn't reach. If we gave him morphine, it got worse, so we could not give him morphine. If we gave him tranquilizers, he got worse, so we could not give him that. I asked him, what are you doing? What are you doing? I just waited and waited, and each night, in the middle of the night, I slept with him I slept with him in the room each night. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with a song or something. I joined him first heart and mind, and the next night soul. He just kept, and all that was left was body. It was only his brain stem that was active. He was not suffering, but he was efforting, and the presence of his consciousness, he was watching the dying process. And come Shabbat, after the Erev Shabbat, right before Shabbat, I realized he's waiting for Shabbat. I said, well, let's bring it in early. We had 6 women, phenomenal hospice nurses, all becoming intrigued with him. A woman whose son died several years ago wanted to know if he saw him, and through me, I scream out, of course he's there. There was 6 women. Shekhinah was so present as we brought in Shabbat. They left, they were nurses. These are fundamentalist Christians who walked out the door, and I knew it was going to be another night. It was another night. We started again, and then at 1:15 or 12:30 was the beginning of his 7th day in this transition. It was Shabbat, and David was born on Shabbat. It was 7/11/2020.
Wow.
In the moment he died, right before he died, he was now breathing 40 beats, 40 times a minute. The 3 of us were here, the normal women. We were just breathing with him, and my friend Brady said, Eliezer, oh, God bless him, unbelievable. Eliezer, 10 days before, had sent us a song, which many of you have now read about, that he's done. He sent us 2 songs. She played that. The second one was Erev HaShoshanim, which is just filled with the word Shoshana. The last couple of words has Shoshana in it, and then that last Shoshana, 2 beats before the end of the song, he stopped breathing, opened his eyes literally at that moment, and then his eyes were not looking at me. He scanned around, passed through my eyes. It was not personal. It was not a personal looking. It was a clear something else, but it was to see, passing through, and then he closed them, and it was over. But it was Eliezer's voice that took us there. And you all know Eliezer. You all know who he is. So it was simultaneously with the word Shoshana, he gives me everything I want, and gives Eliezer the privilege of dying him, the privilege of the last thing he hears is Eliezer's voice, which imagine if that was you and they gave it to Eliezer, which every one of us, he is the heart of us, of every retreat we have ever done. It should go to him. I was so ecstatic that he could give me everything I wanted and give Eliezer a lottery ticket at the same moment. And all I could say was, thank you. And he was gone. That was it. And it was horrible and wonderful. And I have felt a lot of joy since then. Have you all seen the picture of him after we did the Tahara and the cleansing of him and wrapped him?
No.
Someone has it, share it. I will, if not, I will send it out to all of you. It is about an hour later, we looked at his face and it changed and he ended up in a smile with almost, it's like underneath his eyes, he's getting ready to open them and twinkle. Beautiful. And I slept in again with him last night. I kept him here. He had asked that I keep him for as long as I could. We kept him till 10:30 this morning, and then we let him go. I wanted to share that with all of you because you meant everything to him. And your circle that you held by knowing and being, just be yourself. Just do yourselves. That's all I have to say. I thank you.
And we love you.
Yeah. And I love you, but it's the love you gave to, it's the magnitude of who he is because of you. Please own that. That's what he wants. Take it back. It's yours. It's yours. And I am so grateful for who each one of you are.
And we for who you are.
I love each of you, and I will be in touch. This group thing is a little bit much right now.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us, Shoshana.
I wanted it's so close. I wanted you to just have it because there's magic and mystery. I mean, they're going to make him a saint because people want to make him a saint. Fine. You can help him make him a saint. I don't. But I wanted you to. He is a saint. He is an amazing human being. He watched every moment of the dying process. For us, the three of us, it became, you know how we teach you to watch your breath? So watch every breath. 7 days of a dying process, not easy breaths. So when I yell at you to look at your dark side and all of that, own it all. Stop looking for the pleasant. You gotta hold it all and you can have it all. Oh, and that's what he taught us, the three of us sitting here. He may not have been in pain, but I have all the other functions. It was very painful to watch and to be able to do nothing. Bear witness to every breath of dying. 7 days, whatever the 7 levels. We sat last night, not last night, but the night before he died. I've kept our marriage talit. He's buried in the talit that he had at retreat, or he will be cremated. But he will be, his urn. I saved our wedding talit and I covered both of us that night with that talit as we had the first night of our marriage. And I kept that to wrap him in, and I will be buried or cremated with his ashes, his tefillin, as a part of me. And that will be, he gave me so much. I am him and he is me. but you are him and he is you. Each one of you, not just me. And when he left, he let me know that so clearly by sharing it with Eliezer, and I had not a need of one thing more from him. Nothing.
I have the picture. You sent it to me last night, and
Can you share it?
I'll send it to everyone. I just wasn't clear that that was what you wanted.
It's going to get out. It's too beautiful for those of us who know him. And it's too bad if it's hard for you. I don't care. For some, it will be hard. It's death. If anything he taught at the end is look at it. Look at it, not just glance at it. Look at every second of it. Don't be afraid. He was not afraid. He was afraid before he died. He was afraid of the pain, but he very cleverly got himself into a coma so that he can look at it without the pain. So bully for him. We may not all be so lucky, but
This whole illness, he watched it. I was
7
blown away.
years.
I was blown away that he could talk about his brain and consciousness in dementia. Clearly, always.
7 years, again, that's 7.
7. Wow.
Watching it 7 years and about 7 years and about 2 weeks. He watched every inch of it. And he watched diminishment. And some days he got depressed and it was hard. Many days he got depressed and hard. Far more days. He just watched it and took it in and was even keeled with it. He was human and he was divine. He was our teacher, all of ours. And I got that back because as his caregiver, man, it got a little nitty gritty. So I didn't see a lot of the majesty and I didn't remember it so much. But
those of us that were together last time, it was just so beautiful to see him gazing at us and to have that moment before all of this changed.
Yes. It was like it's like night, it's like day and night. It's totally a different universe. And I just didn't expect it to be. He's been in hospice. My mother died on May 11th. David died on July 11th. David went into hospice 5 days after my mother died. He went into hospice, which he went into hospice because he was very, very, I thought he was going to die that night within the same week as my mother. I wasn't exactly a together deck at that point in time. It has been amazing. And I am very tired.
Yes.
Now I just want to, I want to hug each of you, but what he's taught me in this is how to become one with everyone without anything. We're not separate. We're just not. It's not possible. As he told that woman who thought as he told through me, a woman who thought her son was gone, he simply told through me that is not possible for that to be the case. She asked if he could see him. He died 2 years before, and through me, I didn't want to say anything. I felt embarrassed. These are Christian fundamentalists. And I said, of course he sees them, with this, my typical Shoshana harshness, but I didn't want to do that. But he wanted that communicated because there is no separation. when you're in there, you can see anybody that means anything to you because we're all one. You pull out your pieces, the pieces that mean something to you, but they're not separate from any of the other pieces. So of course he could see them, see him. And we each have our individuality. And so he gave that gift to me, to Eliezer, to this woman, all through dying and unconscious.
Mm.
It was an extraordinary week, and enough. My beloveds.
He said that David was teaching to the very end, teaching
To the very end.
teaching you. And I want to add that you have been teaching through this week, that you could bring us in all of the ways that you did. I felt physically like I was there.
Yeah.
I felt it in
You
my
were.
body,
You were. Each of you. That's
we all were.
you
And
all were.
it was
Yes.
because
There
you're
were levels. There were levels, and they were weaving in and out. As people went on with the world, and it morphed around the world. I could feel it. He could feel it.
And
Brady was
both
doing
made
the work.
You and he both made that possible because you allowed us to do that.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
I knew something was happening. I knew I could not do it alone. When I asked Brady to come, and then of course we have an absolute mystic as one of his angels that showed up. I asked her 10 days ago. She heard from another friend. She never even called. Some of you asked if you could come, and I said no. She never called to ask so that I could say no. She showed up by herself. I would have said, no, it's okay. I can handle it. Whatever Shoshana does stillily and do. I had asked her 10 days ago, and she was who I needed. That level of Dzogchen, which was so important to David, she is a living example of it. And she came. And he had a Sony blessing, in addition to being wrapped in his talus and his father's talus around his leg. And Phyllis, I took all the tzitzits off of all of them. So he has no boundaries with where he is, no rules, no tzitzit. Including his father. I felt like we freed his father when we cut the tzitzits off of that and wrapped it around his leg. But on his heart was the Tibetan prayer that Sony had given him years ago, that Brady brought and put it right on his heart. And he needed that. He needed that. He needed her. He needed the depths of who she is here. And she is I am not subtle. She is so subtle and so behind the scenes and so unseen. She's a beta. I'm an alpha. Look at the betas. That's probably where more wisdom reigns than the alphas.
I was meditating, I think, when he died. And I just felt his presence so much this whole week. I mean, for so long, just.
Yeah.
And I felt so much joy and expansion coming. Yeah.
And the joy I felt yesterday, I thought I would be crushed afterwards. I felt almost nothing but joy all day, all night, last night. Every time a sad thought came, it was like, what? You want the last 7 years back? You want more of that? And nothing but then just the thought of the release. I have done in dementia. Don't be afraid of it. I mean, as horrible as it is, you do all your grieving beforehand, so that when they go, you're basically done.
That's right.
You're just, because it's been done beforehand, and the relief for you as caregiver and the relief for him as trapped in a narrower and narrower and narrower, small, a different body, a very different body. It's not exactly the most God realm of life.
But it shows that even that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Listen, you're his most progressed, advanced beings. It doesn't, that's all he was trying to teach. It doesn't matter. And this is the final teaching. Man, you bear witness, half of you, more than half of you have been to Auschwitz. You bear witness to Auschwitz. What on earth is dying about? Why, bear witness, you can do it. He did it. I just watched him do it. Second, and he made me do it. So
A number of people wrote in the last 24 hours saying that David, for so many years, said out loud that he was watching his mind. And after he got his pink slip, he said, now I'm going to watch my mind unfold. Or whatever was the word that he used. But people quoted this back.
and that's what he did. And that
Yeah.
is exactly what he did.
Yeah.
It's, he loved long retreats. This was a very long retreat.
Yeah.
And to be honest with all of you, this is the retreat I woke up on, where he awoke in the 90s with some experiences he had. This is what it took me to wake up, to stop seeing the mind as something you cling to. And the subtlety of what that means. And what is the mind? And when you see it's everything, we use it for everything. It's such a filter that we live life through with that we just don't even see it. And when you lose it, you start to see it, what all that it does, and you go, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, that's not it. And how do you look at life when you can no longer think about it or ponder it or use the brilliant mind he had, or even each of you has? Just nothing. It's beyond all that, deeper than all that. And he was the living example of that.
Mm.
And it was not fun. It was loving. We learned to love in a different way, but it was not fun. It was often very unpleasant. It was very scary, and it was very hard to stay patient, to stay open for him and for me. And you get very worn out. The human nature gets very worn out. As the millions, and Taya, you know this, the millions of people suffering this kind of an illness, all exhausted, difficult lives. And it doesn't matter. And it matters 100%. But we just live the life, live it as we're given, and watch it, open to it. It's all life, it's all God. Mm.
I couldn't imagine anybody else but you being able to hear in that 7 days of silence all that was being conveyed, that you were so tuned into that. You said that it was palpable what you could feel within the room from David, from the people who were there with you, and from all of us and the people beyond us. uh, the web of connection was so powerful that how any of us could have missed that during this week if we hadn't gotten it before. It felt like space meant nothing and time meant nothing. There wasn't distance.
Yeah.
There was just love and connection. And we felt it.
I felt it was here. It was so leaned on because it was so spacious and it did cover the world. I have never felt so held in my life, and the inner weaving of it, of one band going off and one band coming in, and it just flowing. It was pulsing. It was beating. I was held. We were held. The entire house here was held. And it definitely got these poor nurses, and they're these wonderful nurses who thought, wow, this is some place.
And it was clearly the only tahara in the Jewish world that was done by a Sufi, a Dao, and Catholics, and
an agnostic, and people who loved him, people who know love, levels of love.
Right.
That's what it was.
That's the language. That's the only language that there is.
And we just kept saying Tahur who the whole time. Phyllis guided me in the in what to do, and then I had to remember what she said, so we wung it.
I wasn't there.
It didn't matter. No, you guided us earlier in the week, so we would know what to do. And I had read it a couple of times, but then we just did what felt right. And I knew I was winging it. But Phyllis had already told. Remember, this is Jewish renewal. And so we went, okay, and there we were. And at one point I did say, hey, this is 3 shiksas doing it. And I don't even think the other 2 knew what the word shiksa meant.
And the Tahara
We all stood in the bathroom washing our hands 3 times with the Al Nitilat Yadayim cup. And they're just going, okay, sure. Oh. It was wonderful. More to, I mean, and I know anybody who's ever done you also get skilled in how you turn people when they're dying and how you dress them and things like that. And of course, we were not skilled in that. We had watched the nursing aides throughout the week doing the thing, so we were watching, so we would have some sense. But it was the first time. So, which of course, the first time you do it, you make nothing but mistakes. So there was laughter, and the good news is he was gone, so there's no pain. We caused him no pain, probably just laughter. Very sacred, and also very somber and very beautiful. Oh God, this is Shoshana coming in. And because neither of them, you had to wash the genitals. Okay, well, and the person the spouse isn't supposed to be doing it to begin with. But this is my guy. And that was very beautiful. It was very beautiful. And now I'm gonna shut up. Very special. It was very, very special. It was really, I was shocked at how beautiful he looked in death there in that area that you should have no visual images of, but tough nuts. It was an amazing moment for me. It was so beautiful. And it just was our whole, it was the loving that we had. And he was if any of you get to reincarnate and have him as your mate, he's a really good lover, as you would well guess. I'm sorry I'm throwing that in, but It's just nitty gritty and it's real. And that's what I felt in that moment. And if that's not a part of a Tahara, it probably should be.
I was
Those of
thinking,
you,
I was
for those
thinking,
of you who have husbands, get into the Tahara and say goodbye. Or partners or wives or however it works for you. Say goodbye.
David was one of the 3 people on my committee for my ordination as a rabbi. And I thought that the moment in which you told me that David wanted a tahara, and then on Monday specifically, when you said that you were going to be doing it and the circumstances in which I understood you were going to be doing it, it was for that was the moment that I became a renewal rabbi. I looked at all of the rules and I said, this one doesn't apply, this one doesn't apply, this one doesn't apply, this one doesn't apply. Let me tell you what the essence is. And
That's right.
that was it.
And that's what got transmitted. And so all of us felt empowered to honor it. And this was on Shabbat too. It was
Yeah.
everything. It was sacred, totally sacred. And when you see the picture, you'll see just how sacred it was. And who he ended up with, what he ended up looking like, which I'm sure blew the mind when the men came in to, when the men came in today and the hospice nurse came in to release his body to them, to pick him up. I cannot imagine what was going on in their minds when they saw him. You'll see it in the picture because that's what they saw. And then they have never seen that before. They saw today.
When he used to wear his kittel during some of the Shabbat services, or Yom Kippur, I didn't even know when he wore it. He just wore it with us.
All the holidays. That was all we put on his body. That and some covering for some hygienic reasons. And that's it. We were going to put other things on, but FYI, it is hard to dress somebody who is, it's hard to dress people in that way. So the kittel was really easy, and we had to open a hole we had to do a little dismantling to make it work. You have to be very creative.
But I feel like he gave us a glimpse because he always was so majestic and angelic in it, and he talked about it as a dress rehearsal, and he spoke about his death in it. That always struck me so much.
He is wrapped in it, skin to skin.
One of the profound things in every retreat you're teaching and David's teaching was you didn't hide from us your humanness and the struggles of life. You made it possible for us to look at that in ourselves.
Yeah.
And it has been from the beginning until now, just like that.
It's the most important piece because we can only be ourselves.
That's right.
And if we're flawed, we're flawed. And if you're wonderful, you're wonderful. And there's no difference between the two.
That's right. That's right.
And when we love just the muddled messes that we are, we can begin. We can begin to just see, because, that's what we're meant to see. Just that. Only that. That makes it easy.
And over all of these years, you both gave us permission to do just that over and over and over again.
Over and over. And again.
Reminded, right?
And me too. Always reminded, because I'm built in with, it would be nicer if you could be better. And it's not about not making it better. That's good too. And that's hard to put together. You don't have to be better, but it's nice to make it better. It's good to make it better. Well, that's hard. It's easy to think it and say it, but it's hard to live both sides.
Mm.
Dana,
Yes.
thank you for being here with us. Regina.
I know. I'm trying to wave to you because
Okay. I'm very grateful for you to being here with us.
there's a part, the part of me that doesn't like this stuff.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to do it. And he's your teacher. He is your teacher. And I know you love and care for me. And for many of you, I am none of your teachers anymore. I am many of yours really good friends. We are friends. You are all, every one of you is way, way, way beyond teacher and student. Every one of you. So there is no such thing. Now, I think David is a little bit of he's something.
Hmm.
I've got news for you. You and I, we're without us, he's nothing.
Mm.
We are him, and he can't be him without us. Never could. Not possible. And that I really learned this week from him.
Hmm.
He is now, each night as it unfolded and I became one heart, one mind, one soul, and finally now one body, all that he's teaching us, it's not, there is never and was never a David separate from you. Without all of us and all the circles and circles and circles, none of us exist. And it's so fresh in me right now. And if I can transmit that, because I am him and you are him.
Can feel that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, your love with him also brought us together. It wasn't you and it wasn't him. It was your love that you shared.
Yes.
And it was as much, maybe the biggest teacher.
So I'm going to end with my favorite part of the week was yesterday morning. All week long, I've had this egg that was too big in the box, the largest egg I've ever seen. And I usually do only soft-boiled eggs, and you can't cook eggs if there's one big and one small. I don't know how to do that. So I I just left it there. And yesterday morning, I was cooking something else, and I had some butter in the pan, and I cracked the egg. And they're beautiful egg and two totally full, separate egg yolks.
Wow.
Were on the bottom. And as I was watching it, one of them broke and then went into, under, and around and merged with the other one.
Wow.
My sister was there and I just said, I've seen joined eggs, but I've never seen two separate yolks, full separate yolks like that. And I said, boy, that's not subtle, is it? And my sister was laughing because he's not the esoteric type. That's not subtle at all. And that's David and I. That's David and you. It's David and every other. But for me personally, because I got the closest vantage point for him, I knew the moment I met him. I met him. And the moment he told me he was Jewish, a passion, sexual, as it was at that point, arose in me to the likes I never had before. And we have been together ever since. We met on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, and we have been together almost ever since. Sukkot, that first Sukkot, when the first times we spent together, we lived on a boat outside. We didn't have a sukkah. We didn't know. He was barely practicing being Jewish. Those first 7 days we lived together in the most intense passion I have ever had and will ever have, for 7 days on a boat. It was Sukkot the entire time. Neither of us had a clue. When I had my conversion chart, my friend said, "Oh, you and," it totally joined with David, my conversion chart. She said, "Oh, you and David are going to start something new in Judaism." We were novices in yeshiva in Jerusalem. We were nothing. I thought she was silly.
Hmm.
We were that egg. And I got it, and I needed it back, because over the last 7 years, I have lost that. Give me that gift back. Please don't lose it. Trust that even if you lose it, there is energy out there that will give it back. You will find it again. And if you lose it, it's because I guess you have to lose it. Me too. I guess I had to lose it. Trust it all. Trust everything. I'm tired of teaching. I don't want to teach anymore. I just, David, go home. I need some sake. So I'm going to say good night to you.
Thank you, Shoshana. You're teaching us a lot right here, just in this.
Yeah, I realize that, and it begins to feel like that to me, and I'm like, oh, shut up.
We're not asking you to shut up, Susanna.
Thank you.
No, it's good.
It was
Listening to you.
It was supposed to come through, Shoshana.
Oh,
Yes,
I
it's-
do that, which is why I showed up. Because listen, if I'm not separate from David, he's going to say, "You're showing up tonight." He said, "I couldn't do it anymore, but you've got to show up and try to do this." Showing up, the family is waiting for our dinner because I knew I had to do this.
Yeah, but you're giving us all the gift of Daviding in a new form. That's like, I always used to think it was him talking about himself, but you're totally reframing it now. It's like it's the verb that keeps on going. It's like it's us. We're doing it.
Yes, Fred.
This is it right here.
Yeah, and if you didn't catch my message, who do you think was the egg shell of that egg that held us? Every one of you. Do you really not? Please see that. You are the closest circle surrounding him. You are it. Each one of you is it. And that's and when he gave the final gift to me and Elle, that's when I knew it was the whole thing. That and if one gets it, it doesn't mean everybody else can't get it too. I felt no need to have it all for me. None. And many times I have. But I did not then. And then when I knew this Zoom was happening, I said, this is our shell. This is what holds us. This has been our container. David's particularly. But now since there's no David, and David is us, here we are.
Yeah.
Hope you feel our love for you, for Shoshana.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And Miss
Well,
Shoshana,
good night, you all.
good night, dear.
Shoshana.
We love you.
Loving you.
Thank you, Shoshana.
Oh, I had to find the lead. Hey, Sheldon, you look beautiful. You look about as close to what David looks like. You and David are from the same tribe.
Very connected. Just looking at you creates a spaciousness in me that's magnificent. You know, may I say something?
Sure.
You know, as I've been sitting with it, and Susan mentioned it at dinner tonight, I never had a dad. So David, for me, very much was dad-like.
Yeah.
And some of you know that when I was very sick 10 years ago, he called me every single day. He just was so in the now. Every day he called me to make sure that he knew that I was thinking, that he was thinking of me. And he has been that for me. And I'm in no way comparing you and what he meant to you, Shoshana, but I just want you to know that having met David just altered and changed my life so much for the better. And I just wanted to put that out there.
And your experiences, I think each one of ours, mine included, being with him he is my life. He is what is the most worthwhile in my life. And he is us. This can go, I know you guys, this can go on. This is where Shoshana's personality does emerge and has very good boundaries. It says, I found the leave button. I can push it now.
Bye, Shoshana. Good rest.
Yeah.
Thank you for this gift.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shoshana.
Thank you.
How about if we take a little time to be silent together? Does that sound good?
Yes.
Yes.
How about 10 minutes?
Perfect.
Good.
I'll ring the bell to bring us in and to bring us out.
Okay.
And I'll also mute all of us while we're in silence, but feel free to unmute yourself at any time. So Stephen has offered to play for us the songs that he's written for David. And Stephen, if you're feeling up for it, would you be willing to offer one now?
Sure. So my mic is unmuted. Okay, so yes, hello. Yeah, I wrote 2 songs for David over the years, and this was the more recent of the 2, back in 2014 actually. It was a song I wrote for his birthday. It was called Silence on the Mountain. And many of you have heard it before at some of the PTO things, but some of you haven't. So if you're at all inclined to hum along or sing along at home, if you remember it, you're welcome to. So this is for the David that was and the David that is. There came a time when he withdrew from the world. His gaze turned inward, mysteries unfurled. He saw the seeming all end in nothingness. He saw the nothing arise into pure awareness. And so he sang to all who would awaken, you are free. You never were forsaken. Come and see. Stop grasping limitations. Just be. So he sat then in silence on the mountain, living simply, time itself uncurled. Those with hearing would one day hear what he heard. I am one who hearkens to his word, so I sing to the man, not just his wisdom. In the end, I know we're all the same. Exotic from the mountaintop has now become my friend. So let's sing of our friendship and our oneness. Sing with joy of a love that has no end. Yes, I sing of our friendship and our oneness. For the Zodic from the mountaintop has now become my friend. Yes, the Zodic from the mountaintop has now become my friend. So we sing of the friendship and the oneness. We sing in joy of this love that has no end. For the Zodic from the mountaintop has now become our friend. Yes, the Zodic from the mountaintop has now become our friend. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Ariel, for inviting me to share that.
Thank you, Stephen. Hal, do you want to bring us into the breakout rooms?
Sure. Well, we almost have so much that we want to share and talk about David. And if we were to stay in the whole group, of course, we just wouldn't have enough time. So we're going to break out into smaller groups. So we'll have a chance to each share whatever is on our minds and hearts right now. If you have any memories you want to share of David, stories of him, experiences you had with him, teachings, just how much he meant to you and means to you, and what he's been in your life. So yeah, what format we kind of had in mind was that everyone in the group will have maybe 4 or 5 minutes to share whatever is meaningful to you right now, and then a few minutes within the small group to discuss. And after that, then we'll come back together as a bigger group for any additional sharing and some kind of closing rituals. That's all I can think of right now. So yeah, it's so great to see you all, and looking forward to sharing with some of you.
So I'm just finishing up putting together the breakout rooms. All you'll need to do is click that you accept on the screen, and each person, so we'll have a total of around 5 people per room. And that way each person will have a good 5 minutes to share. And some time also just to share as a group. I will be sending messages just to let you know every time 5 minutes has passed. And then I will send you an invitation to join the large group again. Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
I can't hear you.
Oh, there it is.
Taya, you have to unmute. Taya, you're muted.
Lower left hand.
Lower left. Yeah. Okay. And Harry is also muted. Harry. Harry?
Hi.
Okay.
I may have been in IT for 40 years, but I still fumble.
More than enough and holy as it was. Eliezer and I have said, and I feel strongly about this, if she wants some sort of a Shiva to mark the 7 days, or some sort of a Shloshim to mark the 30 days, or some sort of a memorial, we'd be glad to take the responsibility to make that happen. But I don't want to do that unless she wants it. It feels to me like we are all grieving, but she is the primary mourner, and that she needs to guide us in what she wants, and that we can meet like this, but I don't want to do a something to which she is a central person unless she wants that something. So I'll be talking with her and she'll let me know, and I'll let you all know. And as soon as I can locate the picture that she talked about, which interestingly I can't find.
Phyllis, I think your answer about a memorial service is exactly perfect. Everything you said was perfect.
Okay, Hal. So let me just say one more thing. When you guys put together this list, and then I heard from Shoshana on Monday, I added a lot of other people to it. I added the octet, those of us who had vacationed with David and Shoshana for 10 or more years. I added people I could remember from retreats, but so many people I couldn't remember from retreats. There were a lot of people that kept getting added, and people then reached out to other people, which is wonderful. And if anybody wrote to me, I added them to the list too, so that I didn't get individual emails. And I didn't want Shoshana to get a million emails and phone calls when she needed to be with David. But Shefa, who was one of the people who has been over the years part of the octet and close to David and Shoshana and had been on retreat with them in the early years, has been doing a session from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock East Coast time. So you translate that to your own time every Thursday night. And she's planning to dedicate this Thursday night in memory of David. She asked me if I thought Shoshana would be on, and I said she needed to ask Shoshana herself. But I promised her that I would tell you that if you're interested in being on Shefa's Zoom with, I imagine, Shefa's chants, not David's or Shoshana's chants, I don't know. It's this Thursday night, and I will send you the link if you're interested.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
But that's not going to be the same thing if we do something that come out of our retreat experiences with one another. David's and Shoshana's chants and Eliezer's, and space for breakout groups for speaking together. But we'll see.
Thank you.
Stephen, you have a second song?
I do. I don't want to, yes, would you like to hear another song?
Yeah,
I would.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Stephen. It's perfect
Yeah, it's
timing.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely, Sheldon. Thank you. This
Stephen,
is,
I just love seeing Ani sort of floating over your shoulder. That's so sweet.
When we were at Gilcrest with you a year and however long ago it was, you sang a song at the Shabbat service about love. I don't remember what it was, but I know how deeply it moved me.
oh, I wish I remembered which one it was, fellas.
maybe the sunlight through the trees.
Possibly.
Whatever you do will be fine.
Possibly.
Sunlight through the trees would be a good one.
I don't know if I have that. I don't know. Let me see if I do.
Of course, we all really like One by One.
That's the one I was just about to sing, Hal, actually, and I can't find the other one, so I guess it's the One by One. Speaking of not finding things, Phyllis, I can't find the one that I think I sang. So, sorry. Maybe you'll find the picture. Maybe you'll find the picture, and I'll find the song, and we'll trade.
One by One will be perfect.
Yeah, this was written at Pearlstone in 2008, and it was a time when, and again, many of you were there. I don't, because of the way my memory works, I don't remember who was and who wasn't, but it was the time that David gave his simcha to certain people with certificates even to carry forward his teaching. And I was so moved by...
Nothing unraveling to self.
Smicha, yeah, I said simcha, didn't I? Sorry. It was also simcha, so. Anyway, this is called One by One. And this is for David and for all of you. One by one, he called their names. Tears of love were on each face. He spoke of how each one had changed. how their lives were not the same. One by one they stood before him as a legacy was passed. And the gift he gave was to each the same. You may now go forth in my name. One by one, each proclaimed they would hold what he gave, and each heart knew it was true. One by one, one by one by one, the world is saved. That's for you, David.
Stephen, what do you think about doing the blessings again for us to close?
May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon us. May God's peace abide in us. May God's presence illuminate our hearts now and forevermore. One last time. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. Last line again. now and forever. Our life has been permanently improved by each one of you.
Feel the same way. Thank you so much, everyone, each one of you. So wonderful to see you.
We are a oneness community.
You know, whenever we get together, in person or this way, I never want it to end. But every time it does, I'm always astonished and to be reminded that it hasn't ended and we're still all connected.
Yeah.
With huge thanks.
Is a little bit like the experience of carrying the Torah around on a Shabbat morning service, because the rest of the week we are not able to really look at one another's faces. So being with one another's faces is so extraordinary. We've gone through many weeks together. May we go through many more together.
Amen.
Amen. Kenny Ratzon, may it
Kenny
be.
Ratzon.
And it is, even if we're not trying to.
That's right.
So for our younger members, we will leave it up to you to arrange this again, a meeting. Passing on the torch.
And Ariel, we hold you and your family very close to us.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we do.
It means the world to know that, and I know that always.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us know.
You're my family. How could I not let you know?
I just wish I could have all of you over for dinner now.
I'll bring
What would you make, Daniela?
Oh, I would make a feast for the soul.
Without a doubt.
You already did.
That's had it. And you don't have to wash the dishes afterwards.
Great job.
Just the bandanas.
Oh.
We'll be dancing with the angels.
No doubt.
For sure.
And Bob, I know Naomi was with us in spirit tonight. Please give her a hug from us and tell her we love her.
Please.
Will do.
Yeah.
And thank her for her message.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you all. Thanks,
Thank you, Edna.
Daniela,
Thank
for
you.
organizing. Thank you all for coming at a time we could come. It's been divine.
Thank you for coming.
No, it was really important for us to do this tonight, for us, and I think it was important for Shoshana too, so. That's what people who love each other do. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Much
night.
love.
Good
Much
night.
love.
Take care, everyone.
Good
Much
night.
love.
Good night, everybody. Peace.
Good.
Did Hal go, Daniela?
I think he
I
did.
think he did. Well,
Mm.
we'll have to debrief with him another time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm here at my parents' home with family, being very un-COVID-like, but kind of got past that. So I'm going to go be with them.
Please send.
I will. I'll
Please
send all
send
the,
my
I'll send
love.
all the love. I will.
Okay. And okay. Be in touch soon.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye, Trudy.
Bye, Trudy.
Bye, bye, sweeties.